So here's a video I did on the channel many years ago. It's putting a Gen 1, Gen 2, I guess it'd be Gen 2, 1 and 2. It's basically a small block. I think Gen 2's got the 2-piece wheel main seal. Gen 1's got the 1-piece wheel main seal. But that's besides the point. This video is going to be telling you how exactly you can take your LT1 Camaro or Firebird Trans Am and put a small block Chevy like we did in this car. You can see the small block Chevy in it. Now I'm going to touch on the subject a lot better in this video with some close-ups and going back and forth through old video content and showing you what we got. But let's go ahead and move forward with a better view of the car. We got the wiper cowl notched. Now you do not have to cut this super far back, but you do need to notch the wiper cowl for the carburetor and for the distributor. Basically, you can remove this plastic panel. I'm pointing at the TV screen. And lift that up, notch that out. Your windshield wipers will still work if you do this perfect. So, don't worry about that. You can drive it in the rain. This car was drove in the rain. But once you notch that out, that fits your carburetor in. You can't use a super high-rise intake. Gotta use about a medium. This is a dual plane, about a medium-wise intake, normal. Nothing fancy. It's got a 600 vacuum secondary mechanical Holly on it. It looks like is a Gen 1 small block. It's got the place for the fuel pump on the side, so we are not running a fuel pump in the tank. We took it out, run the hose all the way to the bottom of the tank, and just let the engine feed the fuel. That way we don't have to run any extra wires. Basically we do a big lot of the fuel system, because if you run the fuel pump you will need to run a fuel pressure regulator with a return line back to the tank, just because. But that would be simpler for a lot of folks, but we opted to do away with the intake pump. That's the reason the hatch is popped, and run it on the engine. Now continuing on, see any better. Nope. So let me find another video to give you an example. We're adding fuel into the fuel tank.
At 93.
Now this motor is from the 1951 Chevy Chop Top 2 you might see on the channel.
You got the exhaust hooked up?
This is the old motor from that.
That's something I got to come here and weld.
So we're adding fuel to it to try to give it its first test start. We know the motor is good. It was in a 1951 Chevy. So
the battery's unhooked.
Here we go. Now that's a better view. You can see where the distributor sets back in that place where we cut out the wiper cowl. It has to be cut out. No getting around it. You could build a little step up, but then the plastic piece ain't gonna work. But it fits in pretty nice, pretty tight. If your distributor module and stuff goes out on the highway, which this car did strand me before, you have to pop that cap off with a shorty one way and fish it on and change everything with shorty tools on the side of the road. You will not be able to pull the distributor completely out without pulling the motor, but you can change all the internals on the side of the highway and get the distributor back going. That's what I did to this car when it stranded me. But that distributor probably was 25, 30 years old. You can't complain with a factory distributor with just a new cap. Better view of the alternator. The water pump pulley system is from just a LT. I think that's LT1, ain't it? That's either stock truck 4.3, car setup, or that's, I can't remember. It's a serpentine setup. I'm not 100% if that's from the LT1. I don't think it is. I think that's a pulley setup I had laying around.
Yeah.
The headers we used on this was C10 headers, just from like a C10 truck, and they fit. They're just shorty headers. They actually fit on pretty good. We tried several sets. The point of being a car guy is having just loads of manifolds and stuff, just headers and stuff laying around you can try. But these was from a C10 truck, shorties. Might be an S10, not 100%. You can go back and watch some of these full video contents of that. All them details should be in it. Does a Sinister Trans Am playlist. You can. Now the motor mounts is factory LT1. If you watching and you want to know about the motor mounts, let's just jump into it. They factory LT1. The oil pan is a factory car pan for the small box Chevy. Is pretty much the same as trucks and cars. You get one of these engines, you can use that oil pan no problem. It's going to be fine. The LT1 motor mounts will bolt up. All but one bolt will not go into it, but you ain't going to have enough horsepower to worry about that one bolt. So I didn't worry about it, and this car did just fine.
Ain't picked up gas yet.
That's its first start.
Hold it.
That's a fresh rebuilt carburetor too, if I remember.
Try.
We actually rebuilt this carburetor on the camera.
Hold it. Okay, hold it. Okay. Yeah, about 10. 10 to 12. Good timing for small walk. Go ahead, Danny.
Clear?
Yep. I can see it.
Good old timing. That's a Mac Tool timing light, and that timing light has been so great. I highly recommend that timing light. It's an older timing light, not as expensive. You can see the part number in the corner of the video. And whatever degree of timing you want it on, you twist it on the timing light. Like if you want it on like 16 degrees, it will show up at 0 degrees on the balancer, so you don't have to go chasing numbers. That motor sounds actually pretty good. That motor's been through a lot. That motor was bored out, some different sizes on a couple cylinders. If you watch some of the videos, this motor has a lot of history, but most of it, the fun history, been in the 51 Chevy. Before the 51 Chevy, it was in a Blazer, a mud toy, and then before that, it was, I can't remember what it was in, but it was in an old crapped out Chevy. And then, lots of miles, hot rod motor, started as just a daily driver, becomes a hot rod motor, years and years, and it's still going. You can't beat Chevy.
Now, give me one more time, Jesse. We're going to get another carburetor stick. Anything else?
We're going to put another carburetor on it?
Jesse, carburetor. It should run like that. We're going to get another carburetor stick on it. There ain't no hope for this carburetor other than rebuilding it.
That's it. I didn't rebuild it in this video. I rebuilt it after this video. Okay. So, we built the carburetor and it runs good. You can watch videos of the car. I do. I got a video of it running. That's old 57. Talon. What's that Jeep over there? That's still around. So let's go over the whole thing about this video was how to put it into your LT1 car. I'm going to go over everything now as best as I can remember. At the end of this video, this is pretty much it. This is me putting on the little bitty scoops on it. I want to show you how I did the air cleaner. It's just a tiny one. And I had a shotgun scoop actually, just, because it's tacky. Why not? We want a shotgun scoop, and I cut a hole in the ram air hood. Because I did a front end swap on this car too. Yep, I did. Pretty good car. Pretty good. I miss it. It's in the big junkyard in the sky. It got parted out. But we do got a lot of parts left from this car. and we're going to use it on our next build. I miss it. I do. I do. It's, you know, it's one of them cars you shouldn't have got rid of, and it just, you get disheartened in it, and then, yeah. I ended up breaking a piston inside the motor, you know, an old age hot rod motor, and it's, you know, that had that built transmission we did in it. It had to. We will build the other car, this in the image of this, you know, better with an LS1, something we don't have to cut the wiper cow. But the small block was fun. So what you need to do, put the LT1 in your car, because I got one on. First thing first, the LT1 factory motor mounts will work on your Gen 1, Gen 2 small blocks. Don't go out by special motor mounts. They bolt up. One bolt on one side, don't remember which side. If you watch these Sinister Trans Am videos, you probably find it out. Will not go in. Just leave it. Don't need it. If you're picky about it, you can flash the mount. I think you got to extend it a little and make that bolt hole work. It did fine. This car got abused. This car it was a fun car. You can see it got daily driven. It got beat up on, and it got beat up on some more. Burnout competitions. It held up. You know, it was a small block with a cam. It didn't have a lot of horsepower, but 400, 500 horsepower, them mounts with that bits and bolt will be fine. I doubt you're going to be, you know, building anything more crazy than that. So, stock LT1 cradle, stock LT1 mount, you'll find. Oil pan situation, truck pan, car pan, you'll find. Gen 1, Gen 2, your engine you buy should have an oil pan unless you're buying a bell block. It's fine, just use it. Manifolds. You need them to come both back. You do not need them to drop straight down. Regular small block Chevy manifolds, like on a car or something, they cheap. They should work. A tight fitting shorty for a C10 should work. Right in our Corvette steering column. You shouldn't have to make exhaust. We used an old pair of C10 headers, I'm pretty sure. Go back and watch my videos. They were shorty, so you can't use long tubes. They were shorty headers. If you're worried about fitment, you know, just buy a set, try them out, or buy 2 or 3 different sets, maybe S10 and shorty, and send the ones you don't need back. Or just use your car manifolds. Car manifolds work great on these. This ain't the first LT1 car made into a small block Chevy. Next, you will have to cut your wiper cowl. You seen that at the beginning of the video. You need that room for that distributor. You need that room for that carburetor, for the air cleaner and stuff. Now, do not cut crazy like some people do. You can keep your windshield wipers. This car had functional windshield wipers because this was a daily driver. This was a fun car, and you can't daily drive something without windshield wipers unless you want to get into a mess and call your Wayne X with you and you have to go so fast to keep the window clean. It just ain't a fun time. So just be careful and mindful when you cut that. If you're going to use it as a daily, don't go crazy. Cut what you need. It fits. Leave it. Leave your windshield wipers working. Now, the next step we should talk about is fuel system. Now, the fuel system on this car, you can run the factory fuel system. You never have to touch the electrical pump if it works. You need to come up front to your factory fuel lines, tap into your return, tap into your feed, and you need to run a regulator. I'm not talking about a cheap one that you just twist. I'm talking about a good quality one that you can adjust the fuel pressure on, mount it to the side of your firewall. That way, you can control the pressure and the excess fuel don't build up, put pressure on the lines. It goes back to the tank. That's why you need to tap into your return. The regulator feed goes into it, and you got one goes back into the return, and you got the one that controls the pressure goes into your carburetor. You will need to run that with a carburetor. There's no getting around it. Now, if you want a carburetor and you don't want to run your fuel pump, maybe it's bad. You can do what we did in this car. Cut a hole in the hatch or drop your tank. This one had a hole in the hatch. Go figure. All 4th gens I have seen mostly do. And take your fuel pump out, run a line, some fuel line hose, and clamp it to it lays in the bottom of your tank, because you want it to lay in the bottom of the tank because you don't want to run out of fuel at a quarter of a tank. So make sure it gets every last bit of fuel it can. Then you want to take and put everything back together. Come up front, tap into your feed line again. You can bark off your return line, you won't be using it, and just run it to the factory fuel pump that's mounted on the side of the block. Make sure your motor has a provision for that, and then the fuel pump will suck fuel from the tank once it's primed. You got to prime it because it has trouble picking up the fuel if you don't prime it. Once it's primed, you should be fine. New pumps can be odd about that, and it will feed. No pressure regulator needed. You know, it's very simple. Timing, you know, you just time it on whatever your engine likes. I got videos on timing. Anything else? Am I missing? The wiring harness, the coil pack wires. Is it the coil? There's a hot wire comes off with the key for the LT1. That needs to go. You need a key on, a hot wire. When you turn the key on, and when you're cranking, that needs to be hot. That needs to be into the distributor. You need a voltmeter. They wiring diagrams, different cars. This was a 94. Wiring just changed a little. The colors on them did. Don't remember exactly which one. Should have a video of hooking that up. But what you want is a hot wire. So when you crank the key, voltage goes to the distributor, starts the car. When you let off the key, a still voltage on it. A lot of people make the mistake if they get a cranking voltage, and when they let off the key, the car dies because it loses voltage when you know it's cranking onward. You need more than that. Now, you can use your starter relay wire back onto the old starter. That will work fine from the LT1. It's a very simple setup once you get into it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything because all you need is a hot wire to start it. You know, a key off to turn it off. You know, take power away from the distributor. Distributor incorporated, very simple, guys. One wire, all it needs. It needs power to, you know, it needs two. It needs to crank over. Well, technically, you could low start it if it's a manual. You need power on the distributor and you need fuel. Take away power, the car stops. It's very, if it's your first small block, it's not as complicated as AOS. AOS isn't that complicated once you do a few. Do I recommend this swap? If you're on a budget and you got a small block, I do. In the LT1, I do. Would I do it again? If I had to, you know, I got the car. I got another car. If you ain't seen it on the channel. No, I would LS swap it just because I don't like cutting the life of cow. I would put an LS1 cradle in it, make it easier. They actually affordable. They on bolt. And use LS mounts and everything and drop it in the factory location. We will be building one on the channel soon, so get subscribed if you're new. If this video helped, let me know. If any of the playlist helps and you didn't know I had one, now you know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this. Send us a Trans Am video. I do miss it. And I say you boys do too. And girls. And we build another one soon. Maybe spring. You know, after we get the Maverick out. We might work on them both. I don't know. I've been getting the itch to work on that Firebird. So we might start on that here next week or so.